Just a few hours left in this office that she's worked in for almost 8 years.
Okay, the packing starts.
This Northern Irish MEP is turning the page on Europe, but she's doing so with great emotion. She's fought all her life for the ideas of her party, Sinn Féin.
Oh, there you are, Look, there I am there. Yeah.
Part of the UK, Northern Ireland was at the center of the Brexit negotiations, with the threat of a return to a physical border on the island of Ireland. This former member of the IRA does not hide her anger at her forced departure on the 31st of January. In 2016, her region voted over 56% to stay in the EU.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking primarily about the people who sent me here. They, like me, know that we are being kicked out against their democratically expressed wishes to remain in the EU.
But there's no defeatism for this convinced activist. She's taking advantage of these last moments in Brussels to make contacts.
How are you doing?
How are you?
How are you? How are you?
Wanted by Spain for sedition, these two Catalan separatists have just been authorized to take up their duties as MEPs.
There are interests that we share with them, such as the right to self-determination, so they know they can count on us.
When I am away, I need them to be continuing to articulate the need of the people in Ireland's right for a unity referendum.
For this other member of Parliament, Molly Scott Cato, saying goodbye is also difficult. These Oxford students are visiting her at the European Parliament.
Yeah, it was a very nice feeling to be able to feel useful. And I'd love to carry on doing that.
It's a unique atmosphere for these British students to find themselves in.
It's already weird when we get our British passports out and it's like, and they check them and it's like, oh, this is going to be different in like a year, completely different.
Scott Cato is trying to forget that these are her last moments in Brussels. But she can't help but feel a little bitterness.
I see all these exciting policy changes like the European Green Deal, and I just can't be a part of it. So yeah, it's sad and frustrating.
From the 1st of February, this flag is no longer going to fly outside the European Parliament here in Brussels. The UK will become a foreign country to the EU, and it will have to decide what that future relationship is going to look like.
And let's cross now to Dave Keating, our correspondent in Brussels. Dave, what's the latest where you are? All right, Dave Keating setting up for the time being after that report on the final days. Dave, can you hear us?
I'm here, Francois. I can hear you now, yeah. Yes, I can, yeah.
Okay, great. So we just saw you follow those MEPs packing their bags on their final day, if you will. What's the latest where you are right now?
Well, we've had the debate. The debate got pretty fiery, especially with Nigel Farage when he spoke. It was really a kind of triumphant type of speech in which he said, this is after 27 years of his campaigning, it's really his dream come true. And he said what's happening at 11 p.m. British time on Friday means that the UK is leaving for good. They're not coming back. And whatever happens after that is details, he said. But of course, everyone else in the chamber was saying it's not details. It's very, very important what kind of future relationship the UK and the EU are going to have. And Ursula von der Leyen was definitely stressing that as well, that she really wants a really full type of trading relationship. But we were hearing from the Brexit Party MEPs, they don't want a full trading relationship. They want a clean break. So you can see how difficult those negotiations are going to be in the coming months.
Yeah, the new European Commission president getting, shall we say, a little poetic, quoting George Eliot, only in the agony of parting do we look into the depth of love.
She was very poetic throughout her speech. She ended it with "Long live Europe." It was something that certainly the Brexit Party MEPs didn't like. I have to say, they're always a pretty raucous and rowdy bunch, but they were feeling particularly rowdy during President von der Leyen's speech, and also that of Guy Verhofstadt, who spoke before her. He's the the European Parliament's point person on Brexit. He has been throughout this process. He also was sounding a kind of sad note. He said personally, he's really enjoyed working with British MEPs over the year. He's enjoyed their wit and the intelligence that they bring to the debates in the chamber. Certainly we heard a lot of that today. It's kind of this weird dichotomy because very few people are going to miss Nigel Farage and his Brexit Party MEPs, but a lot of people are going to miss the MEPs that they've really come to work with quite closely in Labour, in the Liberal Democrats, even some Conservatives, although they aren't the most popular party here in the European Parliament. But we were hearing a lot of emotion today, and I think we're going to see more of that following the vote at the reception that's being held for the departing MEPs tonight here at the European Parliament.
Dave, later in the France 24 debate, we're going to be talking about what happens after Brexit Day. But just a word on what's going to happen in the European Parliament, because those 73 seats are not going to be staying vacant.
Yeah, so some of them are just going to be gotten rid of. The European Parliament as a whole is going to shrink, and some of them are going to stay. And those seats that are remaining are being divided among the remaining members. It's kind of an effort to make things fairer, to give some of the countries that felt like they didn't have enough MEPs a little more, accounting for population adjustments in recent years. So the parliament itself will shrink, but not by a huge amount. It's roughly half of the seats that are remaining and being dispersed. But that means we're getting a whole new crop of MEPs starting next week who will take up their seats.
Dave Keating reporting live from Brussels. In other news,